When Noctis Lucius Caelum, the Chosen King, discovered the crystal in Zegnorta's Keep, he did not realise that the crystal would entrap him for not having enough light in his heart with the Swordmaster Bahamut for 10 long years. During this time, the people of Eos had to fend for themselves any way they could. That gave birth to the multiplayer expansion Comrades. Inside this DLC, you will be playing as a Kingsglaive. Without a king, but you know what I mean. It's one of those people where once again you're given a little knife like you do as in the film to be able to warp strike around, where you'll be performing tasks surrounding the world to try and keep power and build up energy and money to keep artificial light in the world since real light is fading. It's a very simple but fun 4-player online thing you can do. It's not completely open world, you have to click on a specified mission, it will take you to a specified spot in the map, but it is fun. Especially because there are also a lot of plot points and things like that that tie up to not only the main plot as a whole, but also tie up to the film Kingsglaive for overarching questions. So with that note, welcome to part 37 of Final Fantasy XV, where we'll be exploring the Comrades expansion. This is my main save here, Edea, that because I was not going to do another whole run of Comrades because it's a multiplayer expansion and it takes 50 hours. So you were using my level 68 Edea character. In this showcase, I'll be showing off a normal mission, and I'll be showing off the main boss that kind of tied up the main story arc of this DLC. But along the way, you can also check all these things to read up on every single character, including Nix Ulrich, the main character from the Kingsglaive film, to help give you the most caught up time if you never watched the film. Which is very helpful for that sort of stuff, so my throat's still a little bit rough. At the top there is Top Secret Orders, and I scrolled straight past it, but it is worth reading when you unlock it because, and this is the biggest plot reveal of the DLC that I need to mention now so you know why the boss fight we have later on happens. Back in the Kingsglaive film, they murmur and they question and they imply that there was a traitor among the Kingsglaives. The note, the Top Secret Order, is what finally reveals that yes, that was the case. It was a traitor by the name of Luce Le Lazarus. He set up the Kingsglaive by knowing that King Regis would send a Kingsglaive to defend Lunafreya when Lunafreya was on a ship towards the city, meaning that the city would be left unguarded, meaning it was very there for the taking. So he set up King Regis and the Kingsglaive, completely betrayed them and also betrayed the gods. The people themselves were dead before they knew what happened, but the gods never forget, and they're very much well aware of it. And so, the boss that we'll be fighting at the end of this DLC is someone of the gods sent to challenge us to prove if we truly are loyal again, or whether we're the monstrous traitors that they feel we are. The main way of powering yourself up in a Kingsglaive is not through your levels but through your equipment, because every single piece of equipment you can get has levels to them, and you can spend equipment that you find on the field, components, to level them up in different ways. All of the levels you put into them buff stats in different areas and give them sub-abilities. Sub-abilities ranging from different attacks to 7 critical hits to elemental strike to stronger heals, etc, etc. If you want to get powerful in this game, you need to pay attention to that and learn it. I paid attention just enough to get it done, but I haven't dedicated to myself in it. Like, you'll see some people have like 3,000 points in a stat and be like 20 levels lower than you. That sort of thing, because your level doesn't mean that much. Your level only really correlates to your health and magic a little. Surrounding the area Lestalem, because that's our main hub area as well, you have the upgrade place I just mentioned with Sid. You can buy clothes from Iris over here, and she regularly mentions that she wants to go out and fight, but she's never allowed. Which you can, when I can interact with it, I can show there's a shop. You can buy conversational tags, so if you need to talk to randos online, but you can't use voices of your mic or whatever. Which is fair enough, because no one talks to randos with their mics unless they want to get muted. Over here, there's a special shop. If you get elemental shards, you can use them to get special bonuses for your day. You can essentially see you can get the cooking bonuses on you, and you decide them. To get the shards for them, you need to do the daily quests, which are predetermined and set on into a machine sort of thing. So you don't have to worry about, if you play this years from now, not having one. There's always going to be one, depending on what day of the week it is, sort of thing. There's a steamer to clean up, because every mission you come back a little bit dirtier. It's an odd little detail they decided to give their multiplayer expansion, but I'm happy for it. You can also change to another character if you want to go along with a different story. Over here, you've got an information booth and a bit of a free plot dump from Talcott, which I'll stop talking for, so you can get an understanding of a lot of smaller details that happened during the 10 years of not just being gone.
Thunder God Ramu flew to Angelgard and fell into a deep sleep. Actually, the cosmogony goes into detail about what all the gods did after the war. All but one of them, that is. The fire god, Ifrit. Ignis helped me find a few other old documents, though, and according to those, the pyre burner's body is buried in the rock of Ravito. He used to work for a company in Lestalem. Apparently he was this amazing reporter, writing for all kinds of newspapers and magazines. Now he's using all the connections he made back in the day to put people in touch with each other and warn them about dangerous activity. He told me, "The key's the place to be, Bambino." But I don't know. Dino might be able to handle it, but it sounds too scary for a kid like me. Do you remember me talking about King Regis's ship? The one that group of hunters found off the coast of Golden Key? Well, I got another call from my friend Dino, and he told me that the Kingsglaive has successfully recovered the boat and it's tied up at the dock. They're probably about to start their investigation as we speak. I hope they find something that helps us figure out where Prince Noctis is. A few of the other glaives have shared some really strange stories with me lately. They told me they get these sudden headaches a few times a day, and whenever they do, an image of Angelgard pops into their heads. And then, the royal family's lost ship was suddenly found offshore. I get a feeling something funny is happening on the island. Most people don't know this, but the cosmogony isn't the only collection of old records out there. Ignis told me that. He's really smart, like Grandpa. I bet there's a lot more he could teach me.
Thanks, Talcott. Over here, you have how you'll be channeling your power. Every time you do a quest, you'll get given power, and you can use that power to fuel the whole world of Eos, or the whole open world at least, to help keep artificial light and power in the world when the darkness truly takes over. Because this is based on the last gasp of light, there is still daylight that you occasionally get. I've got every single thing lit up here. Some of the pylons you can't physically get to unless you have travelled to them, and to travel to them you need a chocobo. Chocobo raising I'll get to in a little bit, because I'll show off a mission first before we show off the chocobo raising. But you need the chocobo to be at certain stats as well to be able to travel the distance without burning out of exhaustion, so you can clear up paths and routes so then you can travel through them. Additionally, there's urgent red missions that when you do them will also open up paths for you to start powering through to make pylons. Powering up will allow you to have access to many other things other than just restoring the light. Other than just working towards the plot, they also start building you towards all the royal arms in the game, because all the royal arms, all 13 of them, can be found in this. But instead of getting the arms, you instead get the other side of it. You get the spirit tied to them's power. As of right now, I have one of the spirits attached to me, and it's the one that allows you to heal. It's the Oracle Sigil, the healing light. So as you can see, these three AI partners, one of them has the Tall Sigil, one has the Wise Sigil, and the other has the Just Sigil, all giving different powers, whether it be draining, whether it'll be Aura, which Aura allows you to do a little song and dance and it busts all your abilities. Dragoon Drain, I can't remember off the top of my head. Omni Guard is having a really godly guard that also makes a giant bubble shield. Like, imagine Halo's bubble shield, but you could make it spawn on you at any time. Whilst mine, Healing Light, gives me a huge healing radius because I don't mind being the heal bitch in the team. As you can see, the way I've buffed myself is to make myself immunity varied. I'm not necessarily brilliant with my stats, but I have 100% resistance to everything but gunpowder, which is I'm okay with. And my magic's not too bad either. Nothing's above 1,000, which is considered like bad, but it's enough to get me through the game. So I show off an urgent mission here. This one is just taking down a Jabberwock. I won't be doing the stat list for any bosses in Comrades, because it's a huge expansion. Comrades is a lot bigger when you start digging into it than it might seem on the surface. Even if it's a tad repetitive, because it's literally do a mission, get power up the next section, do a mission, power it up, yada yada. And most of the missions involve killing something or surviving for a set amount of time. Or defending something. Like there's a fair amount where you've got to defend a truck. Or defend a building and things like that. And the way it works, you can see that little food icon next to my health over on the bottom right. The way that works is whatever food you find on the surface will be made for cooking afterwards. So when we finish this mission, you'll have someone come up and cook. More often than not, it's Monica, but you can get rare cooks as well that will always do a specified meal regardless of who they are. If you get Sid, you should immediately go and start crafting stuff, because that means you're getting double benefits out of your crafting, I believe. Well, it's better for crafting, I can't remember if it's double or something like that. But then there's some, like Core is very helpful for combat ones, because Core can cook for you. Cindy can cook for you, but I can't remember what she makes. And I believe Iris can cook for you as well, who actually makes an experience-based bowl. But they're rare cooks, so don't just expect them. I get lucky and I do get to get one to show off so you can get to see it. But more often than not you won't, so just keep that in mind. As I get petrified there, thanks. Also, these are smaller, like slightly smaller, weaker versions of the guy we fought in Costelmark Tower, these Jabberwocks. But yeah, like, the main thing that, like I said, that makes you realise it's a lot deeper than you think is the fact that your stats are determined by your equipment. And this isn't some Final Fantasy VIII dodgy armor bullshit. This is, like, you get to buff it and arrange it how you see fit. And even better, some things, some equipment, will seem to have a really low level cap, but... sorry when I clear my throat. But, when you go to see them, you'll see there's a little bar under some of the stats. Meaning, if you can get the points, you can get the stat of it high enough before you reach the level cap. When you get all of them high enough, when it then hits the level cap, it will upgrade into a stronger weapon that will have a higher level cap you can then continue to upgrade. Some weapons of which can go up to like 150 in terms of levels, making some truly legendary shit, especially with some of the side components you can get on them, because some have some set ones you can't replace. Like my main sword at the top of my D-pad, if I can swap 2x, it's all recording in post, yeah, my Honobane has an ability where if I delay an attack and then do it, I'll step back and then shoot a shockwave up the front of the sword that always does a critical, which you see me use on occasion. Which is really powerful if you then buff your attack to ridiculous levels. But it does cost a little bit of magic, but it's worth it, because look at that little shockwave, look how much damage that did. Also, if you were concerned that because there's no prompto, because obviously you're your own characters, there's no photo taking, don't worry, there's a elite journalist photographer who you just can't see, who does take photos of you guys when you're fighting, that you can check out when you're in Lestalem. Which is pretty dumb, but at the same time it's like, half the time Prompto's photos didn't make sense how he got the time or position to take them, so just roll with it. Also, you can see on the left, we don't have a traditional technique. Instead, when we hold L2, we have the option to use Healing Light or Offensive Spell. Healing Light is by holding triangle, but if I swap to my bow, I believe it's either my bow or my shield, it becomes Curaga, because I have Curaga attached to that. I think it's the bow, because I can see the green arrow on it. And the green cross even. Which is what I'll be using every time I usually go to heal to keep people in strength. I'll be using it on the main boss though than this. The Shuriken is great for keeping your distance for aerial foes or big foes like this if you get a bit overwhelmed, which is why I always try and keep one with me. And then the shield is just because I needed an extra weapon slot, because you can't actually have the physical weapons of Royal Arms. But it's nearly dead. There we go. And you can be able to see the big bubble shield now in the slow mode. That's the Omniguard. But this won't be also the only part we spend in Comrades. There'll be a post-game part as well, because there's some things you can do that was added with the Royal Edition, because the Royal Edition added something to everything. There will be a point in the Royal Edition where we get to come back to this, because there's some post-ish game content, and it's more like you can do it now, and it's not like necessarily that plot important. Like you can do it now, but it spoils the boss fight in the main game, so I don't want to do it until post. Also, once you finish a mission, you'll come up with this stat screen. Finesse, no one got to show off Finesse. On special points, you can get special counters, and those special counters will give you Finesse when you play up. You like the scripted animation thing that you sometimes saw in the main game. But anyway, we get the rare cook from Core, and so Core makes us a fancy meal to help make our day just that extra bit special. I'm waiting for him to see what he cooks us.
There you go.
An attack boost and a defense boost. So yeah, I was like, he gives us offensive harass boosts. Also, if you're curious, because every DLC has had a guest composer, except Royal Edition, which just had Yoko come back. The guest composer for Comrades is the legendary Nobuo Uematsu. And you're gonna hear as we go out throughout this, like, Uematsu's magic still stands. He's quite an old dude who's retired like more times than I'm prepared to count, but he's still cracking on. Also added in the Royal Edition is the ability to go to the second main outpost. You can go to the Hidden Harbour. The Hidden Harbour was at Cape Kaim, down south, which plays a nice little remake, or remix even, of the Comrades main theme, because there is a Comrades main theme that's similar to episode Ignis, does have the occasional remake throughout it, and during the credits does play out, and it's a very beautiful song. I haven't checked yet, so I'm going to find out very shortly whether I need to download it because of the YouTube streaming shit of like muting copyrighted music, or whether it's A-OK, but I'm pretty sure it's A-OK because it's not sung by Florence and the Machine. It's sung by the in-house singers. There's a more different clothing option here, and you can even buy makeup and dress up to look like some of your favourite side characters in Final Fantasy 15. Here's also another location where you can get a quest, and around the corner is where the Power Lady is.
Welcome back.
So you can just check here, which is quite neat.
Take care out there.
You can talk to Viv, and he will show you what pictures you've taken. And this is just me showing off all the different quests. That last one on the end, called Departure, will be shown off during this Let's Play. But it won't be shown off now because, once again, it's the whole making it fit in at a point where it makes sense to do it in the plot. But it is related to the plot, and I do want to show it. But over here now is where I'm going to show off how the Chocobo stuff works very quickly. I don't have one that's level 1 or anything like that to level it up, but you have to decide whether to boost their stamina, their jump, their boost, get them rest, or to try and boost a little bit of all. Boosting a little bit of all is usually a bad option to do, unless if you can do it, but the main thing that makes it difficult when it comes to raising them, and the main thing you have to be cautious of, is that if you make them do the same task multiple times at a time, the chance of them hurting themselves increases, and you have to rest to get that percentage chance to lower. And what's worse is that whatever the percentage chance was at when they're injured affects how long it takes them to recover, because every recovery level takes 20%. And every time you do anything, it levels them up by 1, including resting. So you have to really manage yourself, and sometimes get a bit lucky to really get what you need. The best circumstance out of it, or the best thing to do really if you're really struggling, okay, cool, is the best thing to do is to just, well, save and save scum. Because the game does have an autosave, but the autosave only kicks in when you leave the Chocobo post. So if you just quit to the dashboard, exit the game, and then load it all back up again, yeah, you have to sit through the main game's load screen, and then Comrades load screen, and then the load screen to get over here, because even though you can set your default spawn to keep Kaim, like, the game almost never actually obeys that. And this is them mentioning it as a really big mean old octopus somewhere in the water. Which makes me wonder, because there's still 4 more DLCs they plan on doing in the future, if they're going to do anything with this. Because when people think octopus in Final Fantasy, they think of Ultros. And I'm curious to see if they do bring back Ultros, and if they do, whether they bring back the goofy, camp, kinda creepy Ultros, who flirts with every man, woman or beast, or whether they're going to do what they did with Gilgamesh and make it a lot more grounded and serious, but it's a namesake sort of thing. Like, I'm hoping for the latter, because that was something that was a teeny tiny bit disappointing to me personally with Gilgamesh. But anyway, let's move on and actually advance the main plot.
Well, look who it is. You've really made a name for yourself. This baby's also pretty famous. Former vessel of King Regis and his son. The prince and his pals are afloat away. But we hauled her in and fixed her up. Hey, see that island up ahead? That's the Umbrella Isle of Angel Guard. Maybe you've seen it before. A couple of my glaives told me it appeared to them in some kind of daydream. Said it came on all of a sudden, too. They say the island's got a strong connection with the line of Lucis. Now, I ain't one to put much stock in superstition. Think about it for a second. First, these visions. And now His Majesty's ship. Maybe I'm going out on a limb. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is some kind of summons.
Like I said, the gods didn't take too kindly to a traitor in the Kingsglaives. So to prove that we are truly loyal to the Kingsglaive, we must defeat Bahamut in battle, who somehow has like lost most of his height. Like, do you remember at the end of that last part, how big he was? He was like he's over 20,000 feet tall. What the fuck happened? But I digress. The battle against Bahamut, unfortunately there's no stat list for him, but the battle against Bahamut isn't too bad, at least this one isn't. Just keep your wits about you and keep evasive. A lot of his attacks will be done in front of him, so if you can keep to the side or behind him, you should be fine. Additionally, there's also the matter of that you can heal yourself at any point with L2 and triangle as long as you've got the MP for it. And all the pillars surrounding the edge of the arena you can also teleport to maintain your MP by getting it reset. This scripted boss fight against Bahamut you can't have online buddies with. You have to have this AI team of Libertus, Miles and Elia with you. But Libertus is also from the Kingsglaive film. He's the sole survivor of the Kingsglaive to make it out. Because he didn't fight because he was on crutches, so they just put him in a car and said, get Lady Lunafreya out of here. Because even though he's on crutches, he could drive. Like, I realised how weird that sounded. As I said, it's I needed to clarify. Like, he was an injured leg, but not an incapable leg. But that's about all I can really say, really, because this Bahamut fight's not that elaborate. It's just keep an eye on your teammates. If you keep them around, you'll do fine. You have food, so if you ever get downed or anything like that, because that's the other thing. If you run out of HP and get grounded and die, there's no Phoenix downs. Instead, whatever food item you have, you'll eat and you'll get back up 20 seconds afterwards. But if you have no food and go down, not only do you die, but it kicks you out of the mission even if you're online. So there's nothing more annoying than being right near the end of the mission, dying without food, and then seeing your teammates win it, like just before it takes you out, because it doesn't like phase you out straight away, because it's like you didn't get it, it doesn't count it for you because you died until it kicks you out. But they do. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, you have to do it again. Which is something I will criticise. Like, if you die, it should give you the option to linger around and see if your teammates win. Or just leave if you want to get a move on, sort of thing. And as you can see, Libertus has got aura because he's buffing us with all his song and dance. Trust me, there's nothing cuter in this game than having a teammate who's made like a really cutesy small girl character who just cheers like nobody's business, and everyone else gets above. Like, it's fucking adorable. Like, Aura in itself is actually kind of an adorable animation, regardless of who it is, because they're just going, yeah, yeah, you can do it, fight the power, that kind of shit. It's, I'm easily amused, but it's very cute. As you can see, it's me holding square, attempting to block, because I know that's a finesse attack there. When you execute a finesse-based parry as well, it will also slow down time and severely buff your warp strikes, allowing you to kill pretty much anything, as you just saw there. But that ends it, and so we've got a pretty big cutscene, and I'll see you during the credits. So, see you in a bit.
On this day, in the name of the King of Lucis, I hereby grant you absolution for your sins. Go forth, O glaive, with honor restored, and ascend to the greatness you so rightfully earned.
They set foot on sacred ground. It was here where the Oracle once forged a covenant with the Storm Sender. And it is here where the Chosen King shall receive the revelation of the Blade Keeper. Yet he cannot awaken the power slumbering within his breast while darkness blight threatens this purest of places. It thus falls to the sword to smite the scourge and safeguard the light.
Thanks, Gentiana. Essentially, what Gentiana was explaining there is that we have to wait for King Noctis to awaken 10 years after, and then from there King Noctis will then save the world, essentially. He will save the world from the Star Scourge, stop Arden, save everything that is. It's a very nice, humble ending to this kind of depressing DLC, because it's trying to push through the darkest of time. That's the idea of this DLC, because the world is losing, the villain has won. So it's simply trying to survive. But on that note, I don't want to talk over this song because it's a beautiful song. So, next time on Final Fantasy 15, we'll reunite with Noctis and start making the final push in this game. But until then, you guys take care now, and enjoy the song.